Welcome to the RealTrending podcast, where we speak to the brightest minds in real estate about leadership, growth, trends, and strategy. I'm your host, Tracey Velt, Senior Director of Data and Content for HousingWire. And today I would like to welcome Michael Ward. He is the Director of Teamerage for Keller Williams. And we are going to talk all things teams right now. So welcome, Michael.
Hi, thank you so much, Tracey. I'm excited to be on.
Sure, I kind of sounded like a game show host there. Welcome.
That's all right. It gets you excited. Now we're focused. You and I know what we are and what we're doing. Yeah.
So obviously from the beginning, Keller Williams has kind of been a leader in teams and the team concept throughout the years. So I wanted to, a lot of brokers shy away from it. And I've talked to a lot of brokers through, my years in the business who are like, I'm never going to have teams. And some of them who gave into the concept of it. So tell me a little bit about why Keller is so heavily invested in teams, and then we'll get into teamerages from there. So
sure. Yeah, it's a great question. Obviously, we're known for, we're the brand for real estate teams. That's something that we're well aware of. And that's, we keep attracting top teams to our brand. We just had Wilson Long out of South San Francisco join our ecosystem. We've had teams from Arizona, Colorado, Louisiana. These are $100 million, $200 million teams. You guys have the data on all of that. So obviously, Keller Williams feels really comfortable in that team space. And so we understand that with the team model, it works so well that we wanted to bring that into our ecosystems of our market centers at a high level. And we're really excited to do that with Teamerage.
Okay, so let's define Teamerage, because I've heard multiple definitions of it. So tell me how Keller Williams defines the Teamerage.
Yeah, so really, Teamerage is just a simple concept. It's not really as complex as everyone's making it out to be, that we're just delivering leads to designated agents in a market center, and then we coach those agents to convert those leads at a really, really high level. That's really as simple as it is. It's not more complex than that.
Okay. And so where do you see, I see a lot of growth in teams and teamerages. And I guess, you simplified that definition, but is a teamerage basically feeding all the leads through one team leader in your definition?
I think the way that we actually define it is that the market center takes control of the leads, right? They're bringing in and creating their own market center database, and they're nurturing them and working them just like we would typically see any team or any, mega agent doing. And then with that, they're getting to a place where they then have one leader that takes those leads and coaches a defined agent to close on those opportunities. So I guess in this sense, you don't necessarily have one person, you have a whole market center that's there to support.
Okay. And why do you think that concept is growing around the country? Because I do feel like from when I first started in reporting on real estate to now, that concept has just blown up.
Yeah. That's another good question. I honestly think that, market centers are ready to take control of the lead volume that's out there. Right now, you see a lot of aggregators that the ecosystem is kind of unbalanced, right? A lot of them are no longer offering seats. And when, 35 to 40% of your GCI is going to those aggregators, it represents a great opportunity for market centers to start becoming, local experts with their databases in their areas. And so I think right now the technology has never been more available than it is. And I think, inclusions of things like AI, et cetera, allow market centers to take control of their lead volume and distribute those to the agents that are really looking to change the trajectory of their careers. And so I think, you're really empowering independent agents to come back into the market centers and start to, break new statistical molds.
Yeah, I think that's been really the difference between maybe a teamerage and a brokerage, in my view, and is that a brokerage isn't necessarily offering leads to the agents, whereas a teamerage is doing that lead gen. And I want to know from you where kind of Livian fits into that entire ecosphere.
Yeah, I'm glad you asked. We're excited about the direction that Livian is going in right now. John coming into the team has been super exciting for us. And Contextually, Livian's a perfect plug and play for any market center that, may or may not have the bandwidth or human capital to be able to operate at Teamerage, right? We've got Teamerages that are operating in market centers of 300, 400 agents plus. Then we have market centers that are at 80 and 90, agents, and they maybe have one or two people that are kind of guiding that ship. A Livian model comes in and helps them operationally support a Teamerage model, as well as giving great coaching and the lead volume and the expertise in driving lead volume that they may not already possess. And so it can be a really big game changer for those market centers that want to take up market share and become industry experts and use that to recruit and retain and all the strategic propositions that Teamerage brings.
And in your position, what is your direct responsibility as it relates to Teamerages?
I mean, $1 million market centers. Every
Yeah.
market center, our Thrive 25 goals is to have $1 million market center or $1 million opportunity in every market center. And so my goal, using the Teamerage model as a tool to drive that opportunity for us. That's really the focus for me. Right now we've got over 70% of our market centers have adopted a Teamerage model. And the cool thing about that is, we're seeing some really impressive numbers coming out with, market centers in Maple Grove, Minnesota, driving over $223,000 in new net profit. Big numbers that we're seeing with regards to database build. We've got market centers in Florida with 150,000 people in their database. When you have that kind of, opportunity to then hand off, they've only got 4 agents in their Teamerage. One of their agents has a 183% increase in her production. So that's our drive, right? We want to have $1 million Teamerage in every market center.
What, if you don't mind me asking, what team is that in Florida? Can you say?
It's the OP's name is Janelle Lorenzano, and she is
Okay.
an incredible, incredible leader that just put on her growth hat and said, I want to take control of my own lead volume.
Yeah.
There was just frustrations with the aggregators that were in that area, and for her, it was about becoming a local expert, right? Becoming top of mind for everyone in their areas. And so they've been doing a very methodical, very driven outbound strategy. It includes Google pay-per-click and Facebook to define personas with, dialogue that matters, right? And then they're nurturing those opportunities strategically and consistently. And now their Teamerages are thriving.
Well, I ask because I'm in Florida. I have a personal
Well, if you
reason
need
for asking. So,
some leads, let me know.
but I'm also asking because it sounds like she's someone I need to talk to.
Yeah, it's funny.
Yeah.
Teamerage thrives in Florida. I think there's such an entrepreneurial mindset down there. It's such an incredible market, and a lot of the agents are really hungry and willing to innovate. But they also seem to just have this drive of never give up. And so they're not satisfied with doing 12 transactions this year because the market dictates it. They want to go back to being 25, and they'll do twice the amount of work.
Yeah, and I think that mindset is so important in today's market, no matter what, however you decide to go about it, because I know a lot of agents are getting really frustrated. But the agents who are going to gain market share and grow are not thinking about the market. They're thinking about, how they're going to get business or driving business or building relationships.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Gary was on stage talking about this at family reunion about how, if you did this many activities last year in a great market, you need to double that, right? But a lot of the people that, to your point, aren't thinking about the market. They made those shifts last year in September and October. They already knew that this year they were going to have to increase their outreach, 2x. And so, there's Teamerage is a great support tool for that as well. There's a lot of people that are frustrated and hitting a ceiling of achievement. And for them to come into an ecosystem or like an incubator within their market center that says, hey, let's sit down and strategically assess your goals. And let's, support you to drive your sphere. And we're going to also supplement you with great lead volume that we've procured ourselves and we've been nurturing for you. And let's get you some new, close one transactions under your belt. I think it's a great symbiotic relationship.
And what are you finding are the top challenges Teamerage leaders are having, and what are you doing to help solve for those challenges?
Yeah, not to sound like a broken record, but a lot of teamerages that have put all of their lead volume into that aggregator bucket are hitting up against a wall right now. When I first got here and I talked to a majority of these market centers and asked them, what percentage of your lead volume is coming from an aggregator ecosystem, a lot of times they would tell me 90% of my lead volume is dependent on an aggregator, which means 90% of their lead volume has a 35 to 40% price tag on it at the closing table. Where we've been shifting that pendulum is that 80% of their lead volume should come from self-sourced lead aggregation, so to speak, right? Your database should be 80% of your lead volume. It's fine to have 20% living there, but don't let an outside ecosystem control the opportunity and the revenue you can bring. And so that's what we've been coaching through for a lot of these market centers.
And that seems like a big shift for some people who have relied on those leads for a long time. How are you training to help them, move from the aggregator to a self-source lead?
Yeah, great question. We've got obviously our command tool here, which is, we're seeing incredible new adoptions of that. And our Facebook ads through command are generating incredible cost per lead. And so we've really been leaning heavily on our technology to leverage that opportunity. So once you're able to do that and just coaching them small things like what are great mofers that you can use on your ads within Facebook ads and command that drive lead volume, right? Getting it down to the basics. We're not asking for any kind of aggressive, marketing tactics. Let's just start to, I always challenge these market centers. You can don't just put out a listing to the entire city of Miami and expect to have great conversions. Let's be realistic. Find a persona that's active in your area. Deploy an ad through command that makes sense with a mofer that makes sense to those personas, and then deploy that out. And
And
so
you said
coaching
a
through things like
mofer.
that.
What is a
Yeah,
mofer?
yeah, I'm glad
Sorry.
you asked. So mofer is if you ever follow Jay or Gary or any of our top leaders, a mofer is make offer for immediate response. So let me give an example. So first time home buyers, right? A mofer that I always like to see or that I speak about is, are you tired of renting and ready to buy? Right? Ideally, you're going to say, yes, I am tired of renting and I am ready to buy. But you take a mofer like that and you attach it to a great image of a first time home buyer house that you probably sold in the past. And with all permissions to use that image, you then deploy it to a specific zip code that actually is applicable to that persona group, right? People who are paying a high dollar of rent and have a large population of them. And let's start to be strategic about our outreach. What we're doing now is we're bringing, what ad are you running and who are you running it to? And we have the tools through command to do that. Then you can leverage and lean into your Google pay-per-click ecosystems, right? I think as well, people are starting to really appreciate the value of relationships inside Keller Williams to drive things like, leadership databases inside market centers, right? It's just another form of networking and grabbing warm leads from people that you work with inside the market center itself. We had a great story here where all the leaders within the market center here in Austin, they committed their personal databases to the market center database, and that was what was worked by their Teamerage. And one of those ended up closing, and the person that contributed was actually working the front desk of the Keller Williams Southwest Market Center. And she had gotten her agent license and was able to collect a success fee from that. It completely changes the culture inside when everyone is bought into the opportunity Teamerage represents. So just coaching through things like that, start to think really basic tactics that we already coach agents to do and start applying that at a market center level. And then people put on that where entrepreneurs thrive, right? So people put on their entrepreneur hats, and before they know it, they're grabbing leads from all over the place, and they're really, putting them into great outreach strategies.
So I have a question about personas, because it seems to me that AI might be very useful in developing those
Sure.
personas. And I'm
Yeah.
wondering what you're doing with, AI to do that, or what suggestions you have for people who want to build those personas in their marketplace, but really aren't sure where to start.
Yeah, it's funny. So, with regards to AI and the inclusion of personas, I honestly think the human component is the most important thing when diving into personas. I think you could probably get more value with a strategic relationship with your lenders and your title partners, and even census data to understand what is an active persona in your area, right? But I do think that there are some creative strategies you can use AI tools with to create cool, as we mentioned already, mofers to then use that can result in immediate hand raising. I think that that's a really interesting thing that I've seen done. And then I think when we are looking at these personas from investors and first time home buyers and downsizers and upsizers, there's different ways to tug at buyer intent and to obtain some sort of seller intent. So I think that would be the most strategic way I would lean on AI is, you never know when one's going to come up with the perfect words that gets someone to say, yeah, I am interested to work with you guys.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to talk best practices. I know that a lot of brokers are putting in, mandatory. I think actually I talked to I know John L. Scott Lennox he is putting. I think he works with the state to regulate buyer broker agreements in the state. But are there any type of training you're giving teamerages on, using those, or just in general doing business moving forward?
You know, the one thing about it is we let the market centers really dictate that sort of thing for themselves. It's important that every geographical region guides itself based on regulations and what have you. Our biggest thing here is to really understand more strategic guidance from, like, okay, if we're going to have agents in our team, Ridge, we need to just outline expectations and accountability measures. That's more where we kind of provide guidance, right? We have our KPA process here internally, which is just helps us to understand behavioral patterns or behavioral indicators of all of our agents. It's a really important thing that before you allow an agent in your team, Ridge, you understand how they learn, right? And strategically, you use that information as well to help you guide your choices of agents that thrive in that model. You don't want to bring somebody in there that may or may not do really well. We, with regards to, contracts and things like that, we don't really deal into that. We let the market centers decide for themselves. But I will say there are strategic things like coaching programs. We have Bold, right? And Bold is an amazing thing that we really love because it's a high level coaching program where the average graduate will do 11 transactions in 7 weeks. It's a smart thing to say, all right, we've hand selected now an agent based on a KPA. We've then, put them into an accountability understanding where they know what the expectations are. Then we provide them really high level coaching so that we're setting them up for success. And then as a leader, our job, let's bring them great leads, and then let's strategically support them and supplement them as they go through that career trajectory change.
Okay, great. I'm going to get personal here. So, I want to talk about, I have a couple of questions, but one is, what is the one aha? I'm sure you've had multiple, but what is the one aha moment that you've had in your career that really changed your perspective on something, caused you to kind of take another look at something, or develop a new way of, doing business?
Oh my goodness. Does it have to be in real estate? I
No, it
mean,
doesn't.
well,
It
because I'm an
doesn't.
entrepreneur too. So
Yeah.
our family, we own a brewery up in Canada. I'm from Calgary, Alberta,
Okay.
originally. And one, I can give you one very well defined one. When we opened our brewery in 2019, I can confidently say we did not have a line item in our business plan that said, in case of pandemic, incorporate this as an exit strategy.
Yeah.
So when we opened our doors, obviously a majority of our anticipated sales volume was across the counter to our customers. And then when COVID hit, they started shutting, service indoors and all the things that came with that. And we had to pivot immediately. And that meant that we now had to start canning and adjusting our business model. But what we did do is despite adjusting our business model, for our product to then be made and sent out, we never adjusted the why of our business. Our why was always to use beer as a way to drive commerce for our community. And so despite the fact that we may not have had people stepping through our doors to sit and have a pint, we still supported and focused on selling our beer and using that to invest in restaurants and invest in other businesses around, small businesses where people could come and feature their products at our venue, and just never shifting from the fact that our why was not about selling beer. It was about lifting up our community. So I can say confidently, like, you kind of have this, okay, now what moment where you freak out and go, okay, what are we going to do? But we collectively got back together. We said, okay, this is our why. How does our why still align with the ecosystem we currently find ourselves in? And then from there, we were able to just continue the drumbeat, and we had a lot of success, and we were able to thrive through that. We also went everywhere that nobody was. And I think that too many people forget that. Too many times people follow the herd. And when things shut down, all these other small brewers went into the big cities. We actually went into rural communities. We were in every single, and this is a Canadian reference, but we were in every single hockey arena, curling rink, all the things that came with that. We were on every golf course, every small pub, and they hadn't seen a beer rep in years. So it worked out great for us that we chose to go everywhere that everyone else isn't. And ironically, not to pull it back, but that's really what we're doing with Teamerage too. We're making a decision to go in a direction that no one else is in, and that aligns completely with who I am.
So my next question for you is, we talked a little bit before this podcast started. You said Jason Abrams is in the office next to you. And
literally on the other side of this picture.
Yes, he's very inspirational. And so other than from Jason, where do you look for inspiration and motivation? Are there any trainers, any podcasts, any, speakers, anybody that you really look to for inspiration, motivation?
Yeah. Oh man. So I'm first of all, one of our leaders, Sajay Patel, is an incredible inspirational person, not only from what he's accomplished in his career, but also just based on he's a COO, and he still manages to coach like 30 people. And I don't know how that's possible, but he also gets up at 4:00 in the morning like a crazy person. So I don't know how you do that. But yeah, I mean, he's somebody that really inspires me. I also get a lot of inspiration from people like Simon Sinek. I think is a great leader. I think he's somebody that I identify with on a regular basis because he really gets to the why and human capabilities as on a personal level. And I think that's cool. But I will say, ever since I came here, the leadership team here has been something that I just love to lean on because everyone is so authentic and genuine. Mark King is 2 offices down, and he always has time for not only me, but every single person that comes through here from a team leader's skills camp perspective or what have you, which is another one of our coaching programs. They come up and they sign his wall, and he is more than happy to give, like literally hand them the felt to do it. And which is super neat. Jay Papazan is somebody that I love to lean on, internally because he is such a kind person, but he always like challenges the narrative of what you're bringing and makes you like question what you're doing. And then other than that, I get completely inspired by my father and my mother. We started that brewery that I mentioned. And, on a personal level, we started that when they were 68 years old. And they're now in their 70s. Now we have staff that are brewing and what have you, but they could have easily retired. And instead they said, you know what I want to do? I want to live another dream. And I want to be like the Sam and Diane of our small town. And I want to welcome every single person in with a pint and a smile. That is inspiring to me to be doing that at 70 years old. And so those I think are really good. That's my list for now, but it changes every year.
Great list. It's a great list. I love it. And I love that your parents, decided to do that. And I mean, I'm sure that it means a lot to the community as well. So
yeah, it does. And we find ourselves as a constant haven for people that are just, looking for inspiration. They sometimes come in and pick my mom and dad's brain. And I'm talking about like 20-year-old entrepreneurs that are trying to find their way or asking mom and dad how they got started in their careers. And so it's neat to see the impact it's had. Yeah,
that's great. So what about some key initiatives? What are some key initiatives for Teamerage's moving forward?
Yeah, I mentioned that we've got 70% of our market centers adopted the model. I would love to see that in the 90s. I really would. we've seen some incredible shifts. And our Thrive 25 goals of having $1 million teamerage in every market center is an initiative we've got. But I think, more importantly, I would personally love to see every single one of these teamerages be exceptionally profitable by the end of 2024. I think that's the goal. That to me makes the most sense. We have these incredible Thrive 25 goals, and I would love to hit every single one of them. But I think more importantly, the narrative that we can get through one of the worst, economic real estate markets in a long time, and have all of our market centers have a profitable new inclusion to their market center, to me makes sense and is a massive win, right? We've got a ton of innovative thinkers in this company that, they don't need, another CRM. They don't need another aggregator. They just need to know that we're here to support them, and that we're constantly innovating to be able to add things like Teamerage that focus on profitability for their market center.
Well, Michael, thank you so much for joining the RealTrending podcast. We appreciate all of your Teamerage inspiration and information, and congratulations on your brewery as well. So
thank you so much, Tracey. If you ever want to come up, just message me. I'd be happy to host you and pour a pint for you.